does it really matter? And today I've got Bex here with me, and we are going to be speaking about beings. Now, I like calling them beings. Bex?
Yes, I like the word beings. The word alien's a bit of a strong word.
And ETs?
Yeah, ET's not so bad, but
Not too
I've
bad.
always seen them as beings.
Yeah. Other fractals of ourselves.
That's a bit of a mouthful though, Tam, isn't it? We always stick with beings for this.
Yeah. So, we've got Bex on because we want to talk about her experience with beings and just to put awareness that a lot of people do have experiences with beings, and sometimes they're too afraid to talk about it for being judged.
Or looking like an idiot, people thinking you're a nutter.
Crazy. Crazy mofo.
Yeah. Definitely. It took me a long time to be able to speak about it, but it's will to validate the experiences of knowing that it was real, because there's someone else who's witnessed the same thing in the same house.
Yeah.
Then you kind of know that, oh, do you know what? That experience, that memory is valid.
And then to be able to speak about it openly.
Yes, it certainly took me a long time. I can't quite believe that she's persuaded me to come on here and talk about this stuff, but that's
You're in for a treat.
That's lovely, that is.
So, Bex, can you talk us through your first experience?
Well, I don't really remember first experience as such. Like when I was a kid, my earliest memories of like around the time probably before I could even walk is of laying in my bed at night. Mum and dad's put the light off and I'd be laying there and all these shapes and pixels would come above me and they'd form like a television screen. And these different I've not watched the film, but I actually see that they made a film about pixels, and that is the best way to describe what would come in at me, and these scenes would play out. It was like they was putting on a show just for me every night. And it's only as I got a little bit older and that carried on for years, but like no one else could see it. And I'd say to other kids about it, like, oh, when you go to bed at night and the TV comes in and this and that's happening, they're like, no. So I learned very early on not to talk about those experiences, because people were just like, what is she going on about? But we moved a lot as a family before I was 7 years old, and we never went far. I was just like, 3 roads over there, like 3 roads over there. It was always in the same area. When I was about 5, we moved into what they call a masonette. In a town called Seabrook Rise, and we moved in, and it was up, you had an upstairs and a downstairs, but it was like above another upstairs and a downstairs. So we had downstairs neighbours, and when me and my sister, we had a room side by side together, and at night there was this thing that used to open up in the hallway. So you'd come out the bedrooms, the hallway ran there. I think the toilet was to the left, if I remember rightly, bearing in mind I was very young, but I remember that this thing would brighten up at night. So it was always there. It was always there in the day. And we was like really curious about it, being kids, like,
Did you see it all the time?
We see it all the time, yeah, but sometimes it would be really faint, like it was hardly there at all when it's just become like background thing, so you didn't really notice it. But then at night time, it would brighten up and things would come through that gap and take me through on adventures.
Sorry to interrupt. Was that your physical body or your actual body going?
I can't be sure. I have given this some thought, obviously as an adult, because obviously, this has been like before I was 7 years old. So, some bits are quite clear, some bits are hazy, some bits you can't but think, gosh, is that just my mind trying to fill in the gaps? Like, but I know that it was very real. Whether it was my physical or whether it was my astral, like you say, going through that. And I would go to faraway lands, like places like that would blow your mind. Like I remember going to a 2D realm, and so you go in and everything's completely flat, and on the walls are like thick drawings and shapes and stuff like that. But they could talk. They could talk to you. So you could walk along for miles, and there's just all this, all just completely 2D.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. That was one of my favourite places to visit.
Oh, there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was one of my favourite places to visit. And sometimes we go to really strange places. Like sometimes some of the places would be quite dark. So it would be like very, what I'd say now, obviously now I'm older, like low vibrational entities and stuff that would be trying to scare you and get you to cry.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But it was always very, very interesting.
So would you say from a young age, I want to touch on sometimes you went to places where it'd scare you or get you to cry. So do you think from a young age that you were more fascinated than scared?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, there was never any fear when I went through. Never any fear. The same as, you know, when I still travel, there's never any fear. Even though you don't always go to good places, you know, but you always get home. That's one thing that I learned early on. Sometimes as a kid, I'd be scared that we wouldn't get back.
Yeah.
Because for some reason it was always a rush to get back. I don't know why that was. I don't remember why, but there was always an urgency of when we had to get back. You know, we had to get back for whatever reason, but I've never understood what that reason was.
Yeah. There you go.
Strange but true.
If anyone knows.
Yeah, let us know.
So what was, did that carry on up until what age?
No, so then when we were 7, we moved to a different area and a different school and everything. And when we moved to the new house, I remember me and my sibling going room to room to room looking for the portal, and we couldn't find it because there was no portal. But
Yeah.
we obviously just thought that that was normal. So where's the portal in this house? It's got to be in this cupboard, or it's got to be somewhere. But it was never anywhere. And then as you get older, you know, you put those thoughts to one side, and then it's only as an adult, many, many years later, that I spoke to my sibling about these experiences and to see if she could validate them. And she's like, yeah, do you remember when we went to this world? And do you remember this being that come through that looked like this? And like, you're like, wow, like, so my experience is completely valid.
Yeah.
Because obviously being an avid reader as a child as well, you know, you've got that really inventive imagination. So I could never really be sure until I had the validation of whether.
Validation is, for me, amazing. So I had a QHHT session, and when I was younger, I used to fly across the living room, sometimes in body and out of body. And through my session, I did used to fly across the living room, but at a certain age, I had to shut it down. So it's interesting you said 7, because some say that when you are born up until 7, you're very open to the astral, to other beings, to more than what we perceive with our 5 senses, although there's more senses. It's like interesting that you said you moved, and
Yeah, it just happens to be around that time. Yeah,
that's quite interesting. So it got validated for you, and then
which then allowed me to speak to people like yourself about those sort of experiences.
And can you give us any other experiences you've had?
Yeah,
Teenager up till?
As a teenager, well, I had very troubled teenage years. I think like a lot of people did. And I almost know that I used to freak people out because I wasn't ever scared of death. So I would just walk out in the middle of a busy road because I always had things with me, always talking to me, always, you know, always looking out for me. So I never had that fear of death. Like,
did you hear them as a knowing or hear voices?
Hear voices. You hear voices. Yeah, loud as day. And feel the presence next to me, although I couldn't see what it was.
Yeah.
So by that age, obviously, I must have lost that ability to see things, but I could always hear it, and it was always there. And then when I moved into adulthood and really got into the drinking and the cocaine culture, and all the rest of it, all those experiences just completely went up until I was in my 30s, and I had a mental breakdown. And as I started to rebuild from that, then things started happening again. It was like, I think maybe where my ego had just shattered from the breakdown and all the years of heavy partying and repressing emotions and everything else. And then boom, all of a sudden at like 35 or however old I was, I got downloaded. But yeah, well, now I can call it a download. But at the time, I had no idea what it was, and it was terrifying because I was pinned to the bed with like this beam of light coming into my head, just showing me the universe and how it works and how it's all structured with numbers and geometry and all stuff that I'd never had any interest in. I'd never read about it. It was nothing that I'd ever seen before. And, you know, I've realised now, after being on this journey for a few years, that the universe had been waiting for me to wake up. And I just kept on drinking, kept on sniffing, just kept on doing my thing. And in the end, it was like, do you know what, Bex? Fuck you, you're having it. And then I was never the same after that. And then I see a spaceship in the sky during COVID, during lockdown, and it was so close. It was so close and it was so powerful. And I had 2 friends there at the time as well that was witness to that. Otherwise, I might not have believed it. I might have thought I was having some sort of mad psychosis or something. But
was it? This is just me being curious, so this is just a question what Tammy wants to ask. Was it? Did it look more like a projection, but not a projection screens? Like, could you, if you were near enough to it, would you have been able to touch
it looks like you would have been able to. Yeah, it looked like you would
Really?
have been able to. Yeah, it really
Wow.
did.
So not plasma or a plasma what you could touch.
No, it just, I don't know. It was just so bright and so real and so close. It was just,
Close.
if I wouldn't have seen it for myself, I would not believe it. I'd think someone's talking rubbish.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And many people have thought that I was talking rubbish when I've shared that. But it don't stop me from sharing it because I know it was real and I've got 2 witnesses as well. Like, we know, the 3 of us know that that was real and that we see that.
Yeah.
And one of my friends who witnessed that doesn't believe in anything like that at all. So he was just like, wow.
Information from someone.
Yeah, exactly that.
It was like, yeah, that's, yeah.
Like, yeah, that was real. We
Yeah.
just saw that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that is absolutely amazing. So with this download, well, amazing for some.
Terrifying for
Yeah.
us. Because we know there's different levels of encounters, isn't there?
Oh, there is different levels of encounters. So from your, you said download.
Yeah, it's the only word I can use to describe it, really.
Yeah. So when you was experiencing that, can you remember how your body felt?
Yeah, I was like I was electrified and I was like doing this weird jolting. I had someone with me at the time and it was very scary for them because I couldn't move, but I could still talk. And I just had to just keep saying to that person, so I'm all right, don't panic, but something is happening to me. But I'm okay, just don't panic. I've just got to ride it out. And I think it went on for about 3 or 4 hours.
Wow.
Because there was so much. It was so intense. And I was passed out that night and slept like a baby. And the next day I got up the only mad way, and this will piss people off, especially any Christians watching on, but the only way to describe it the next day was like, I felt like Jesus, like I was walking on water. And as I walked through the town centre and over to the allotment, all these birds were flocking down and they were lining up on the railings as you walked along the roads. There was hundreds of them. And I was with my partner and he was just like, what is going on? And I said, it's my vibration. Like I'm vibrating so high that everything's drawn to me, you know? And I was like, you can see this. I was like, how is this normal? It's not normal. It never, ever happens.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a real thing. What's happened to me last night? And he was like, you know, even he couldn't deny it. Like, something's happened, you know? Something's definitely happened.
Yeah.
And, you know, if only I could have kept that the whole way through then till now, that high vibration I was on at that time.
So going off topic a bit, and we will come back on to that, you're saying the only, if only you could keep that, was it because of the feeling it gave you? Did it feel?
Absolutely. I felt embodied. I felt totally at one with everything. Like all the fears that I'd had previously of like wasps, bees. I didn't even like butterflies. I said butterflies were just moths in different jackets.
And look at you now.
And, you know, like I was scared of everything. I hate, you know, and it just changed everything for me. Like I love every bug, every caterpillar, every spider, you know, like it's just changed the whole way that I see the world, the universe and my place in it.
So that was a big turning point, massive for you then.
Massively, but I still had a long road to go with other addictions and whatnot, you know, which I think is what lowered my vibration back down because I only stayed on that high, that feeling of pure connection and like I was floating. People even said to me, you look like you're floating. Like I was gliding, you know, like it was amazing. I started wearing all these long flowing things. I just started floating around. It was great. It was totally great. And then, yeah, I suppose I just took too many drugs and and bang, that vibration came back down. But I still have moments. I still have moments of it. Absolutely. And I know it's there waiting for me when I'm ready to embody it again. But that information is all still there. All that, that blueprint or whatever it is that they've put in my head is still completely changed.
Would you say you got to see your blueprint of your life?
Possibly. I feel like I got to see the blueprint of everything. It's what it felt like. Like everyone's lives, everyone's place in it. Like it was just the most surreal, intense experience I've ever had.
Like the bestest drug ever.
Absolutely.
But not a drug. Pure connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pure connection. It was incredible.
Yeah. And when people say they get a high through connection, you
felt it.
Felt that.
I felt it, and I wish that I could feel it all the time. I really do. I have glimpses, like I say, I do. And one day I'll embody it completely. I've got a lot of self-work to do.
And do you know what? Most humans, if human things have not got self-work, well, they're entitled to their own faults. But I think for us to want to explore more of ourselves is good. Very, very good. So
many times to go deeper.
So, shall we talk about the next experience?
Yes, let's talk about the next experience, shall we? So the next experience was actually, I don't know, just over a year ago.
A year and a half.
With this lady here.
Yeah.
Tammy had recently started to really go deep in with the channeling and everything, and I was really trying to suss out how it will work. So I'm quite I really like to understand people deeply. I like to analyze and I like to have a true picture in my head. So because when you're talking to me about channeling and whatnot, but I just can't quite get it straight in my head. Like how does it work? Is it like a radio frequency that comes in, or what is it? And then so we decided to do some magic mushrooms, bit naughty, and that obviously put us on the same frequency.
Yeah. So I had a light tea.
Yes, tea. It was very light tea.
A light tea. I don't know why. I've always just.
You always say no. Yeah. You always say no. Yeah.
I say no, but I had a light one, and I just want to quickly say when I channel, I don't remember much. So Bex had to fill me in after, so I'll pass over to Bex on what she had to fill.
Right. So I just want to state one thing, right? Is that I'm not a lightweight when it comes to mushrooms. Yeah. So this was really, really light, fluffy strains, just pretty colours, no patterns, no movement. And so I've had this tea, and for whatever reason they wanted us to have this tea. So we had this tea, and then we're sitting there and I'm like laying on the futon on the floor and she's on the sofa next to me, and we're just talking, and I was saying I just can't quite picture how does it work, the channeling, like a radio wave, like what is it? And then all of a sudden her whole being changed, right? And let me just say this as well: is I've always wanted an alien encounter, since I woke up in my 30s, yeah. And I was like, oh please, I just loved it. Just let me show up in my living room. I'll be so happy. And literally, one showed up in my living room. It's a very freaky thing to see your friends change shape, everything about you just changed. It was, well, our words were holy shit. And I was like, what the fuck? And this being that's come through was like, right, we've come through because we've decided that you're ready for this encounter. And we know that you're trying to suss out, how does it work for Tammy? So we're showing you how it works. So I'm rooted to the bed, right? And I'm fucking shitting myself because this thing's massive and it's got this really deep voice and it feels really powerful, like aggressive, real male energy, it was fucking scary. It was intimidating. And he was and then he moved like this, and I was like, don't fucking move, don't you come any closer, I swear to God I'll knock you out. And I was
very, very lovely though.
No, he was really nice. Yeah. And he was like,
sure, humans
he's so big. It was so big.
The energy.
Yeah, it was big. Yeah, his head was massive as well. His head was
like mine anyway.
Much bigger than her head, let me tell you. But yeah, so he told me that he was an Andromedan.
All right.
And then the next one that come through was Arcturian. So then you completely changed shape again, and you had a completely different voice. You was a completely different colour. And then he come through to say like, "Oh hi, I'm from Arcturia, and I'm another one that comes through Tammy. So Tammy's actually on the outside right now. She's not actually in here." And I'm just like, whoa! And one by one, these beings came through and showed themselves to me.
What us humans call it a hybrid.
Yes, there was a hybrid. Yeah. I don't know. It felt young, but maybe not child. But not an adult either. So maybe like somewhere in between. But it was quite a young energy. But I think there's about 8 of them that came through. One by one, and then as we got towards the end, the real gentle, sort of personalities came through. Do you know what I mean? And one of them, she had the smallest mouth. Right, how she could even speak, I don't know. The mouth that small, but she was so kind, and she just wanted to give me messages about myself, and everything, and it was amazing. But I was absolutely shaking like a leaf at the end of it, because it was so unexpected. And I've done a lot of drugs in my life, and I don't trip out. Like, do you know what I mean? And it was a very, very real experience, proved by the fact that now I've got sobriety behind me, and Tammy and I haven't been together for over a year face to face.
You just say this is from how long is your sobriety?
My sobriety is 1 year and 4 months.
There you go. Carry on.
And I've seen the same thing, us getting together for the first time in over a year, and we was just laying there talking before we got the camera out. I'm trying to adjust to the new energy in Tammy. She feels like very, very different to the last time that I see her. Your energy is constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. It's almost like getting to know a new you every time I see you. I know we speak on the phone.
Do you feel that?
100%, yeah. 100%. And so I have to scan and absorb and try and understand and integrate these new energies into myself whenever I see Tammy. So I spent some time doing that earlier as we was laying on the sofa together chatting, and sure enough, I got to meet another 5 beings that are channeling through Tammy, one of them being a bird with a massive bee. What beautiful energy. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful.
So
Blue.
He is a blue avian, and he's got 2 children. So I just want to say that what I channel is other fractals of me. I'll go into that in another podcast, but it's other fractals of me. So I'm not channeling anything externally from me. When the first time happened, when you see me morph, or your encounter, whatever whatever you want to call it. I remember when I come out, because I don't remember everything when I channel, because it's not meant for me. So if I'm doing it for someone and they're getting messages, I can't retain it all because it's not meant for me. But I do remember when I come out, because I'd be like, I'm talking and people are just not hearing me. Like, I'm talking and they're just either talking over me or not answering. I'm like, do I exist? Ignoring me. But they come through and said that actually people can't hear me when I talk.
Yes, so true.
Someone that had a very loud mouth. Yeah, I can be really loud. But when I was talking about something at a different, people just couldn't hear it. So they're not being rude and just ignoring me.
They literally cannot hear you.
They just couldn't hear it. And that was a bit strange, but it was good, because I'm like, oh, they're not ignoring me. They
just can't hear me.
They just can't hear me. So
seeing is believing. Let me just say that.
Yes.
So seeing all of you, all the fractals of you, that is believing to me.
So before we had that first encounter, and you did believe me.
I did
what
believe
I was doing. But could we talk about what I said made you believe me that little bit more? Are you comfortable with
sure.
that? Only if you're comfortable with talking about that. We don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah. Now go on.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go on here.
So I said to Bex, I can see another fractal of what is you. And I explained it, and she said, and I'm not going to get emotional, but she said, no, it's not that I didn't believe you, but now I definitely believe you, because I've never told anyone that part of me. And I described to her, I'm not going to say what it is, but because it's personal for Bex, I described to her the fractal I see of her, and she was like, yeah, now I know. I knew it was real, but now I know it's very, very real.
Yeah, I always believed you, but obviously there's that small thing in the back of your head is like, could this be what someone losing their mind might look like?
My family thought I was, not my immediate family, but other members thought I was losing the plot. I'm starting seeing energy in the sky. I'm walking my dog and I'm poking this energy and I'm channeling and I'm doing I'm just
It was a massive change, wasn't it? From what you was like.
I was very heavily steeped in trauma, programming, traits, just unwell and just to change around. So me seeing, and I just want to say, Bex allowed me to see that fractal of her. So I didn't intrude. She allowed me to see that fractal of her. And when she was like, no, you're telling the truth. Not that I didn't know, but
yeah, that was like validation, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I'm grateful to have got to obviously see the new fractals of you tonight. It's amazing.
Yes.
And still integrating the new energies.
No mushrooms.
Having no mushrooms tonight. No, absolutely.
And it's just, and I'd like to say as well, you got to see that because I can't remember the messages they gave you, but to carry messages for you as you go on your I mean, we're all on our beautiful journeys and our journeys are very unique to us and we are learning what we need to learn from someone what was heavily programmed. I kept myself very unwell. I had controlling I had controlling tendencies and a bit narcissism and just I was very, very programmed. But that was my journey to learn what I needed to learn. And everyone's journey is unique for them. And you'll have things come up in your life where you can go, do I want to implement this or do I want to change this to then put me on another trajectory? That's it. Thank you for that word. But I just want to say, no matter what, we're always learning.
Yeah, we are always learning. And you're always certainly teaching me new stuff and new sides of yourself, sweetheart.
Yeah, yeah, me, myself, because I often refer to myself as a third
in the third person. Yeah, thanks for getting used to.
Tammy does this, Tammy's saying this, Tammy's doing this, and then Tammy would go, oh, I really wish I could give up coffee, or I really wish I could stick to exercising. So yeah, just because I connect to other fractals of me, I'm still very human.
Yes,
and I think the newness of the humans which is emerging is the integration of going inwards through your portal, because it's the biggest portal, to connect to other parts of yourself to assist you in your human life. So we will be having Bex back on.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, to talk about timelines.
Any old stuff, I'm always up for chatting a load of stuff.
So if you've liked it, subscribe, leave a comment, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.